Welcome to Lesson 6, Guidelines for Giving a Prophetic Word. I just want to give you a few very important guidelines for ministering prophetically, whether we're giving personal prophetic ministry, which is a prophetic word for one person or perhaps a few people, or whether it's corporate prophetic ministry, which is prophetic word for a group of believers in a corporate setting. Okay. Well, here's our guidelines. Number one, seek to strengthen, encourage, and comfort people. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 3 and 12 says, "But everyone who prophesies speaks to men for what? Their strengthening, encouragement, and comfort. Since you are eager to have spiritual gifts, try to excel in gifts that build up the church, right? Build up people, strengthen people, encourage people, edify people." Perhaps one of the biggest misconceptions that people have concerning prophetic ministry is that it should be ministered in a judgmental, condemning, or rebuking way. As is often the perception after reading the words of the Old Testament prophets. While prophets may speak of judgment, it is reserved for the mature prophets who function in the office of the prophet and those who are recognized as prophets in the body of Christ. For those who are not recognized as prophets, and especially in the context of us just learning how to prophesy, all prophetic ministry, hear this, all prophetic ministry should strengthen, encourage, or comfort people. Number two, flow within the accepted protocols of a particular church or setting that you're in. Okay. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40, everything should be done in a fitting and orderly way. Well, how do we determine what's fitting or in order? Good question, right? Well, the leadership of every local church or every local gathering is responsible and will have the final authority to determine what is fitting and what is in order. From church to church or group, there'll be differing protocols for various reasons, but we must honor them. Okay. Often in home meetings where there's very strong established relationships, there may be greater liberty. Whereas in some larger churches, they may require that all prophetic ministry is to be spoken through the sound system, partly so that everybody can hear, because it is a word from God, and also partly so that the prophetic words may be recorded for whoever they're for, and also even judged. Some churches do have an open mic policy for any and all prophetic ministry coming from the congregation, but other churches have a system of clearing words by a pastor or maybe the ministry facilitator before they're spoken. And both are okay. It's important to understand that most pastors are simply attempting to exercise their responsibility to guard their flock from unknown visitors to their services. And they need to know if a word is appropriate for those that they're responsible to lead. So they have to check it out first. And usually, the larger the congregation that is meeting or the newer an individual is to a group, the more caution a leader will take before releasing prophetic ministry. So we should always find out the protocol of our particular setting that we're in before we try to prophesy, and we need to honor their protocol. Number three, avoid giving directive words to a congregation. Not our job, folks. Not our job. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 17 says, "Obey your leaders and submit to their authority. They keep watch. They keep watch over you as men who must give an account. Obey them so that their work will be a joy, not a burden, for that would be of no advantage to you." So although God may give a person a word that may change the entire direction or flow of a service, the responsibility for that decision is ultimately given to the leadership of that group by God. And that type of word needs to always go through them. If it's directive words, it has to go through the leadership of whatever that's setting. So we must not become offended if a leader chooses to hold our prophetic word from being spoken. They may say, "Well, I'll give that word later in a different context," or they may just say, "You know what? That's not appropriate for right now." We have to honor them. Number four, always remain teachable. Always remain teachable. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 29, 2 or 3 prophets should speak, and the other should weigh carefully what is said. Now, if the prophetic words of recognized prophets must be judged, then how much more so should every prophetic word be judged? So we must always be willing to have our prophetic words judged. Okay, it is, if the nature of the word is personal prophecy, which is a prophetic word directed at a specific person, it is a good policy to have a witness with us, or maybe have someone record the prophetic word that's being spoken. This could be through, just a cell phone, the recorder on a cell phone, or maybe a digital recorder that you have with you, or maybe if you don't have those things, and I've been in situations where all people have is a piece of paper and a pen, and they just wrote down the prophetic word as it was given, so there was a record. So because we need to remain teachable and accountable for the words. And number 5, avoid religious mannerisms. If you're going to give a prophetic word, avoid religious mannerisms such as using 16th century English, or maybe speaking in an unnatural vocal tone, or maybe contorting our body to add emphasis, or yelling at people, or really anything else that we may be tempted to do in order to gain some sense of authority or credibility. Not necessary, folks. We should speak in a natural voice, okay, our natural voice, and at a reasonable volume, and leave the conviction up to God, okay? So in summary, here are some guidelines for giving a prophetic word. Seek to strengthen, encourage, and comfort people. Flow within the accepted protocol of a particular church or setting that you're in. Avoid giving directive words to a congregation. Remain teachable, and avoid religious mannerisms. Okay? So thank you for joining us. We're looking next time, lesson 7, guidelines now for receiving a prophetic word. God bless you.